Well, what I can do in the meantime is to introduce myself. Okay, I'm Margaret Williams. I am the author of the Empowered Leader publication. I help I help marginalized women uh who've been I help you to become more visible, have more impact, and more authority in your life and in your career. Okay. Hi, Keegan. How are you? Hi, Timothy. Good to see you as well. Um, So that's the introduction for me. Okay. Now we're going to be talking with my guest here, Lesle Lane. Okay. We're going to be talking about how to find the business success and the life you want. Okay. Now, Leslie here, she is a senior specialist, retail communications and events at ASICS. Okay. She's going to explain what the acronym is because working for the government for 39 years, it's good to know what they have so many acronyms, I can't even keep count. Okay. She is, says Greater Boston area. Okay. Lesle Lane, she is a dynamic communications, event planning, and employee experience professional with over a decade of expertise in driving human connection and brand engagement across retail, okay, industry. All right. And so I'm going to take this opportunity to let Leslie tell us anything else that she wants to. Okay. Tell us what brought her to Substack. Okay.
Sure. Now, Margaret,
Hello,
I'm going to
Leslie.
tell. Hey, Margaret, and thank you so much for having me. And I'm going to tell you, I think you have your guests slightly confused because that intro was not quite for me. So, can I start my intro and tell you who I am?
Absolutely.
So, my name is Lesle Lane. I am a third generation photographer out of Indianapolis, Indiana. I have over 30 years of experience working with corporations to get their brand and their marketing imagery out to the public. So it's a little bit different than what you introduced me as, but I am so happy to be here. And this business has seen so many transitions over the last 33 years, both economically and from a financial standpoint, going from film to digital and now introducing AI into the visual world of photography. And I am so grateful to be here and to talk about all the ups and downs that have come with getting this business where it is today and to get me a life where I feel like I can actually enjoy my career, stay passionate about what I do while still making time to do things outside of work. So thanks again for having me, Margaret.
And thank you so much because I'm glad that you mentioned that because there's another Lesle Lane in LinkedIn and I had attached to her and I confused you with her. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And so I have to be mindful for that for the future. Okay.
Uh,
But I am so excited about our conversation because when they had the Kodak was the biggest company at that time. Okay. They had the cameras, almost like throwaways and things like that. And so that company's name was very, very prevalent during that time.
It was. And you know what's
But as we
interesting? What's interesting about
go
that
ahead.
is that Kodak wanted to make sure every single person had a camera in their hand. That was their goal. And now every single person does, except Kodak doesn't even hardly exist anymore. They now sell lenses for glasses. So it's one of those things that as our entrepreneurs who are on the show today listening and thinking about their careers, remember your number one goal might put you out of business. So make sure that your goal is aligned with what's happening in the industry. So Kodak invented the digital camera. They were the first one to make it happen and ended up putting themselves out of business through that. So you got to stay on track. You've got to figure out what's going on in your industry and stay on top of all of it.
Yes. And they were very aware about the changes that were going on in the marketplace. You have to be, as an entrepreneur, okay? You need to be 3, 5, maybe 10 steps ahead, because of the technology is constantly changing. Okay, just like IBM, that's another one. Just like Sears and Roebuck, we see a lot of companies are going belly up because they are not doing their homework. They're just looking at, okay, this is where I am right now and we're doing okay, but who's to say you're going to be okay 6 months from now? Okay, you need to be looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, which is a SWOT. Okay. You need to be looking, where do I want to go? Where do I want to be with this company 3 years, 5 years down the road? And what does that look like? Right?
You are exactly right. You're spot on, Margaret.
So, with that being said, you yourself have seen things transpire a lot. So, you want to talk a little bit more about that?
I do. You know, who would have really thought in my 30-year career that we would have 9/11, COVID, the great housing recession of '08 and '09, and then let's just put, 10 other things, the transition into AI, the transition into digital. And that's all within a 30-year career. And I feel like that right now, the people that are going into business right now, they're actually at a speed of business that's even faster than what I went through as I was in my career. I believe that businesses are going to continue to transition and change at a much faster pace than what I've gone through in my career. So I came into the industry at 22 years old. My stepfather was taken ill, and I had to take over at a very young age, but he had already been researching the change from film to digital, because we've always done corporate photography. And so we didn't do babies, we didn't do weddings, we didn't do families. And so we knew that that transition from film to digital was 100% going to happen. It was going to impact us. And so my stepfather had already started that research. And by the time I was 27, I transitioned the business from film to digital, purchasing my first digital camera for $200,000, Margaret, more than my first house cost was buying that camera. But I was so young and I was so passionate about the industry that I wasn't afraid. And I think as we get older, those fear factors get bigger because we've been through more. So young entrepreneurs can actually make those changes faster because they're not quite as afraid as the people who have been through a lot. So I made that transition and stayed in that industry the way that my parents did it for many years, but just could not make it profitable, Margaret. It was just an impossible way to make it profitable. And so I finally decided that, I was just going to do what I could do as a solopreneur and, achieve as much as I could, but I was exhausted. As a creative, I'm a creative person, but I'm a commercial artist. People buy my services. And there just wasn't enough of me to go around. And so it was when all of that really came to a head. I lost my number one assistant, the person that had been with me in the business for 30 years. And basically my life just hit rock bottom. And I'm like, I can't keep going like this. And that's when I decided that the entire business had to change.
Okay, so from that experience, what lessons did you learn moving forward to say, okay, this is what I did, and maybe I could have done something different this way, and I could have did this. So, what are some of those lessons that you would like to share with other entrepreneurs as we look at maybe having to pivot too?
Right. So when people are doing business, and I think you and I spoke about this, Margaret, you're a solopreneur right now. Everything is on your shoulders. All the administratives on
Yes.
your shoulders, marketing and advertising, all of that is on your shoulders. And it can be overwhelming. Just like in my opinion, when you're a commercial artist and you've got a W-2 employee that you're supporting, that's a heavy pressure if that person is not a producer. And so a solopreneur, you're handling the bookkeeping and you're handling all of these things. And then all of a sudden you're burned out. You're just fried. And so when my number one assistant of 30 years passed away, my daughter came into the business and she said, Mom, you just cannot keep doing this. You're going to have a heart attack. You never have any free time. You never feel comfortable leaving the business. Let me come on board for 2 years and help you restructure this business into a workable format that gives you some kind of work-life balance. And I know people that are entrepreneurs might think to themselves, oh, that's a joke. Work-life balance is a joke, but it actually is attainable. And so my daughter came in, she set up standard operating procedures for me to actually have 1099 contract workers to come and help me with my administrative work, my quoting, my social media, my blogging. And now I'm up to 15 1099 team members that do all kinds of things for me, from making money in drone photography, videography, and then taking over that desk work that just gets overwhelming for the solopreneur. And here I am now. We're about 4 years into this new business model. We are more profitable than we have ever been. And we have a team of people that only have to do the kind of work they want to do when they want to do it. And so I just want to encourage my entrepreneurs out there that sometimes the deepest difficulties, which losing my friend and my assistant of 30 years was heartbreaking. We only had 26 days before she was diagnosed and died. And that business, she was been in the business the whole time I'd been in the business. So just remember that sometimes the biggest hiccups, maybe it's your biggest failure, maybe it's your biggest heartbreak, it's actually the leaping pad for something that could bring something beautiful. And I hope that my assistant looks down now and she is grateful that, she has still continued to change my life even in her passing.
That is an amazing story. Now, you talk about a 1099. Before I went to work with the government, I used to do 1099 work as well. And that work is better than no work. Okay. It gives you a lot more flexibility. Back in the day, they used to have the Kelly services. Okay. I don't know if Kelly services is still out there now. That temporary service, you could go to a different place every day,
Mhm.
you know? And so I would sincerely hope these type of things are available, especially nowadays with everything going on with all of these companies now downsizing because of AI. A lot more people are losing their jobs. And so what's your thoughts on all these things?
Well, the gig economy is alive and well. I mean, there are just a lot of people that do not want to work for the man. They don't want to work 40 hours a week. They want to be able to, live out their passion, whether it's a lot of my employees are stay-at-home moms. And so they are able to come and maybe work 10 hours a month for me. They can still take care of their children. I have people that have their own businesses, photography businesses, but they still want the work from me because it makes them more profitable. So it's just a great combination of people doing things. Maybe I've got one lady that is a concert organist. Well, as you can imagine, that is not a $1 million money making job. And so she works for me part-time to supplement what she loves. And so I just feel like that, some people are taking these 1099 jobs because they're getting laid off. Other people are taking them because it's their way of finding that work-life balance so that they don't end up like I was, completely burned out and hating every part of. I hated my business. I honestly went back to school to get my master's so that I could quit and get out of the business completely. And then all of a sudden, everything changed. And now I have a true love of my business again. And I love every day that I get to do what I do.
That's amazing. And all the people that work for you get a chance to do what they want to do. And I consider that a win-win for everybody.
It
Okay?
is.
Absolutely. And so each of us, as an entrepreneur, we can do the same thing too. We are uplifting ourselves and helping others to rise as well. And that is what we're supposed to do. Okay? Otherwise, why we're here?
Yes. And if you think about it, think about all the times you've heard about starving artists, Margaret. Starving artists. Well, there's a reason that we starve, and that's because the business side of a creative person is a lot of times not there. They're really good at their creative part, graphic designers, web designers, painters, whatever they are, they're really good at that part. But then going out and finding new work, going out and billing the job, quoting the job, delivering the job. How many photographers do you know? They shoot the job just fine, and then it takes weeks to get the images delivered. So those are things that I bring to my team. I shore them up on the business side so that they're left to be creative. They don't have to worry about this business side. And so I'm just one of those really strange people that I can do both. I can be creative and I can be business side. My dad raised me that way. He was that way. And I'm just very fortunate that my brain's kind of wonky.
And that's amazing that your awareness is so keen that you tap into that, because most of us are multidimensional. Okay. I have a master's in industrial and organizational psychology. I'm also a certified leadership and systemic team coach. Okay. And I worked for the government for 39 years. Okay. So based on that, and I've ran a publication, and I know how to do video editing. So I can tell you, I learned more as an entrepreneur than I did with the federal government, because I'm working in the same systems every day, doing the same thing day in and day out. And it's just like, okay, it's like everyday Groundhog Day. And it was
Yes.
really not a challenge at all. The biggest challenge is working with the toxic people that I had to deal with. Okay. But so it was not a challenge to my mind. So what I did was challenging myself. Okay, well, how many of these things I can do? Okay, that's how I figure out how to motivate myself. When you're working a job like that, it's like you're working on a factory. You're just doing the same thing every day, all day. And it's just like, I know I can do more than that. Okay. So when I had to walk away from my job, I realized I had so much things that I wanted to do that I could do and wasn't able to do. So these jobs limit us in ways that we don't even realize. And you can't get that time back. It's
No,
gone. It's
no.
gone.
And Margaret, how did you feel mentally? What was when you were in that job that felt like Groundhog's Day? What was your mental health like during that time?
It was shit. I'm gonna tell you flat out, it was shit. Okay. The only thing that kept me grounded in that is say, okay, I'm doing something is that's greater than me, that's gonna uh do something to help other people. Okay. We're building this infrastructure for the people, and this is going to enable them to increase the quality of their lives. I had to reframe it. Okay. To get through it every day.
Yeah. And the fact that you had that mental fortitude to reframe it, you're a very strong person, because many of us, we can't. And we take home that frustration. My ex husband used to say, I don't understand why when you have a bad day at work, you have a bad day at home. Oh, I don't know, because I just spent the last 10 hours being miserable. That's why. And so I think that, as we're looking at life for more than just our 8 or 10 hours at work, and more than our just 6 or so hours at home with our family, we want that. I think it's different than our previous generations. We expect and want that we have a good life at both. And I just don't think that's too much to ask, but it's not easy to achieve.
I am so glad you mentioned that, because I always said to myself, when I leave that door at work, I'm gonna leave this stuff here. But I was disillusioned, okay? Because you take that stuff with you, especially you have a bad day and all this stuff, you take it home with you. Not intentionally, but you need you need time and space to transition to the next part of your life. And we're not giving ourselves enough time to pause, say, okay, this is work. Let me take a pause. Let me take a breath. Let me remind myself to leave this here or whatever. Somebody
It's
even
very,
told me,
very difficult.
it is. Somebody told me, well, when you come home, take a salt bath. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that might help the outside, but the inside is still screaming.
Well, and not just that, but if you've ever had children, they're sitting outside your tub screaming at you while you're trying to have a salt bath. So I don't know what good that's going to do, because you still got, I mean, I still had little people I had to take care of. I had to get the homework done. And so, again, I feel like that this generation of people, they want more out of life. And that's what makes this gig economy so fantastic for people. That's what makes this entrepreneurial spirit amazing, because entrepreneurs want more. They want more freedom. They want more money. They want to achieve their personal goals that aren't always in line with corporate America. And so that's really what I've been able to do and what I've been able to enjoy these past few years. But it took me quite some time to get there.
Yes, and I like to be able to have the flexibility to go into an organization and say, okay, you give me a 3-month contract, okay? And then after that, we can decide whether we want to extend or whether we're going to walk away. I'm not going to ever work for anybody again, because once you disrespect me or do something I don't like, I'm leaving that day. I'm leaving that day. I'm not going to give you another chance to come back and say, "Oh, by the way, once you disrespect me once, that's you only get that one chance. That's it. I know better." Okay?
Well, I'll tell you, Margaret, I've got a little bit different philosophy on that. And this is just working for myself for 30 years. There's a 25% surcharge for being an ass. So if somebody's difficult, I just mark their rates up a little bit. And if they don't want to work with me, that's okay.
I love that. That's the cost of being an asshole. I'll say it. I prefer not to work with them because I got a bad temper and I might say something. I'll turn around and I'm like, oh, okay. I was keeping it down. It just came out. It just slipped out. Oops. Okay. And I'm
Yeah.
not gonna I'm not gonna apologize either.
Yeah, it
Okay,
doesn't
because
happen very often. I have a great client base, but I will say over the past 10 years, I have marked somebody up once who was just kind of difficult. He said something disrespectful about my children. And so I did mark him up 25% for being a jerk.
ching ching. All right, all the way to the bank. I bet you he didn't say anything else out of the way.
Well, he didn't know what I marked him up for, and he signed the contract. So that's really all that
Okay.
matters. I still got the job. So,
Good for you. I like that. We all gonna write that down.
yeah.
Okay. Put that in your, yeah. That's a good tip. You have any more tips for us?
Well, I mean, I just think the biggest tip for me was I wish I would have sat back and because you said something earlier, Margaret. We get so nose to the grindstone. We're so into our business, especially if you're a producer. So like me, where I was producing all of the photography, I'm so busy shooting everything. I'm so busy, getting all the editing out the door, doing the bookkeeping. I didn't have time to strategize. And so by bringing these other people onto my team to take off these non-essential tasks, I can now look at my business and strategize. I can meet with people either in the industry or in similar industries and try to figure out what the trends are going to be. And so, I encourage our entrepreneurs out there. Are you living your business? Are you running your business? Or is it running you? Because you can't grow if you can't strategize. You just can't.
That is so true, and that should be a part of our business plan. Okay, and so even in my business with I I've been on Substack since November 24. It has changed considerably. When I first got here, I don't remember people going live that much. Okay. It was mostly people were writing articles. Okay. But then as things start to pick up, then you get the audio. You can do the audio. You can do the video. Okay. It's so many things now that you can create. And so it's like, okay, I want to be able to explore all these avenues, okay? Because even more and more people are coming to Substack. Even Rosie Rosie O'Donnell is here now. Okay. Leanne Rhymes, uh, and so many other names. I'm like, wow, okay. So it could be 10 lives going on at one given time. Okay. Also, the number of publications, number of writers, it's going up too. Okay, because even my inbox, somebody said, I sent you an email. I like, oh well, I got over 10,000 emails. Okay, most of them from Substack. So I'm just saying, we have to figure out how. We always have to figure it out, the strategy. The strategies worked for you last week. It might not work this week. What can you do instead? So I use the notes to test different things to see what's working and what's not. Even then, it might work today, but it might fall flat next week. So we always have to be thinking about how we're going to level up. What new skills do I need to learn to be able to elevate my brand and my messaging, right?
Yeah, and I'm just going to encourage you specifically, Margaret, because after our conversation a few weeks ago, you also need some downtime. You know, and I wasn't getting that. I was always so obsessed with the business, but it's only when your brain is at rest that really good ideas come to you. And I feel like that, for anybody trying to run a business, that time of nothing, that time where you're not in your phone, you're not answering your emails, you're not producing, you're not sitting aside a strategy time. You're literally sitting aside a nothing, whether that's sitting on a boat, sitting in your backyard, going to a beach, just nothing. That's taking a walk without any music. I have been amazed at how many great ideas come into my brain when there's no input. We have so much input now, and it's hard to really think because your brain doesn't get time to not have any input.
You're right. That's what we're talking about. Being able to take a physical break between when you get off of work and when you get home. You need to do that because you have to switch roles and responsibilities, and you have to catch yourself because you might say something, to the kid based on something you did at work, and the kid don't know. No, your husband don't know what you've been through, and vice versa. Like, oh, well, how was your day? Oh, it was extra shitty. Okay. Okay. So
Margaret.
it's kind of like I said. You said it, it's true. It's true. So we need to call things out the way they are. Because then your husband or your kids might say, like, you've been in a bad mood since you got home. It's like, oh, okay. You might not even be aware of it. Okay. So
Now,
we
see,
have to fit.
my husband and I have this down pat. I think I told you, my husband and I don't live together, and we've never lived together. So, in the whole time we've known each other, we've never shared a home because I have kids and he doesn't, and he smokes and I don't. And so, I go to his house after work, and if he tells me he's had a bad day, I'm like, oh, look at the time. I think it's time for me to go home. And vice versa. He'll send me a text. He goes, you don't want to be around me today, and I don't want to be around you. I'm like, okay.
I love that. I love that. And that's how some people say they stay married, happily married, live in different houses. You don't have
Live
to
in
live in the
different
same
houses.
house. I
And
love it.
just be okay with not being okay. And I say that for people even that live together. It's okay to not be okay. Don't take it out on your spouse. Don't take it out on your children, but just let them know, listen, running this business is hard. And today was a hard day. I'm going to need a minute. Um, don't underestimate being real with how hard it is to run a business. It's not for sissies.
You're right. It's freaking hard with a job. You know, After 40 hours, I come home and I have, the weekend. But with a business, you're it, unless you have somebody working for you, right? And there it is. And so I took a break this week, okay? Kind of, let's say semi break, okay? Um, and so I've been repurposing. My content that I've already put out there. I have over 500 videos and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'm gonna put it out there because I'm tired. I am tired to my essence. Okay, we need to give ourselves a break,
Yes.
and I'm glad you mentioned that. And so we need to understand that that way we can come back, um whole self, our full self, because we can't you can't run you can't operate on an empty cup.
Mm.
We're supposed to operate from the overflow, like the car system. Okay, you got to overflow on the radiator. Okay, same.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure.
So as I was looking into, getting into digital uh content, okay, creating content, because I had got bored with just doing the same thing over and over again, and I felt like I had traded one hamster wheel for the one here at Substack. Okay, and I can't. Nobody, you can't run like that endlessly without it impacting you physically, mentally, emotionally. And I see a lot of people that where I started Substack, they're gone. They're no longer on the app. So I say to myself, when I start to feel burned out and when I start to feel like my my tank is empty, that's when it's time to take a break. We need to listen to the signs. Our body is giving us signs all the time, just like your car. It'll tell you the light will come on. Okay, maybe you need to fill it up with some water. Okay, if we don't do regular maintenance, our body is the same way. It
It
breaks
is.
down as well.
But Margaret, you and I both know that when you're trying to keep the bills paid and you're trying to keep the lights on and you're trying to feed your family, nobody gives a shit if you're burned out.
I
And
know.
that's the reality is that, and excuse my language, but I would love to sit here and say, oh yes, take that break whenever you can. But the bottom line is that somehow as business people, we've got to carve out that time while still making sure that we can keep the lights on. And I think that that is what people don't talk about. Everybody wants to talk about how glamorous it is to run your own business. Oh, it is flipping glamorous. Yeah, no, it has some monumental moments. Being a solopreneur allowed me to raise my children. It allowed me to have my children in my business. I never missed a play. I never missed a choir concert. I was there for everything, but I sacrificed my mental health while doing it. And so, there is no perfect balance. But yes, if you have the ability, if you have enough money that you can take a break when you need a break, but if you don't, and keeping the power going and keeping the mortgage paid is a challenge, you still need to find some kind of way, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through quiet walks alone, some way to help with that because, paying the bills is a big deal.
Yeah, and if you're in the hospital, how can you do that? You run yourself ragged. You can't do any of that.
Well, and that's the other reason why I brought a team on with me was because I knew that the day I'm 55 years old, the day that I get sick, the business stops. And so that was the other reason why, at my age, getting more people on my team so that somebody could step in on my behalf. I got injured about a month ago. I woke up and my neck was all twisted and I could barely move my neck. I had somebody within 2 hours who was willing to come and help me with a job so that I didn't have to cancel on my clients. Having a 1099 contractor that has your back, that can come and be your backup so that all that pressure isn't on you if you get sick. That is another reason why it's so important to find a team to help you.
Yeah, I love that. The 1099ers, somebody might get pissed off about something I'm going to say, but either way, it is what it is. The 1099ers are very loyal and dedicated employees because they know that you can get rid of them at the drop of a hat. Whereas you got a regular employee, they like, nah, I don't, I'm not coming in. You know what I'm saying? They're not as loyal because they're like, oh, I got this job, so I got it in the bag. But that's not necessarily the case, okay?
Well, and my business is so cyclical. So I don't have business 12 months a year. I don't, there's some months that I shoot very little. There's some months I can barely keep up with it. So that's another type of business that if you are cyclical, having these 1099 employees to help you when you need it, but that you're not expected to pay them when you're slow. It takes so much pressure off, Margaret. It has taken so much pressure off of me.
And that's a good thing to know as well, because when you're interviewing the people, you tell them up front, this is the role responsibility and these are the expectations. Okay, the work is not going to be all year round. There may be time that you need to be laid off, and this is how it is. Are you okay with that? Okay,
Yes.
so they're aware up front what to expect.
Yes. And in my industry, that's pretty common because we do things on contract. So whether I'm shooting the job, whether one of my employees is shooting the job, they're all contract based. And so they know that when I bring them on for this specific contract, that's the only thing I'm guaranteeing is that they're going to get this contract for this amount of work. And then we'll see what else happens.
And the thing with that, these companies need to take in consideration how they treat people, because some of these organizations or companies, they can't keep people. It's because you don't know how to treat people and you don't know
Right.
how to talk to them. Okay, if you treat people with dignity and respect, you know you'll be able to, people will work for you forever.
Yes,
So
and
what would you?
compensate them. Photographers particularly are known for being poorly compensated for their work. So think about the big there's big like wedding photography chains out there that you go online and they hire photographers all over the country and they pay them pennies on the dollars. And those people are miserable. And so when I bring people on with me, I make sure they're making a fair wage for what they do. And I'm also taking responsibility with the clients. So you entrepreneurs out there that are thinking, what if I bring somebody on and they screw up? Well, that's on you. So, when I bring somebody in, I meet with the client directly, make sure they're comfortable with having a contractor do it. And then I will normally be on site for the very first job that they do to make sure it's done properly, because I am putting my name behind that contractor. So that's what I bring to the table, is that my business has been here for 30 years. I've been in the community and working nationwide for 30 years. If I'm bringing you on, I'm going to train you. I'm going to make sure you're doing it the way that I want you to do it. I'm going to compensate you well. And my clients know that the buck ends with me. And so I just feel like that we need to be really clear with that yes, a 1099 employee is wonderful, but there is risk with it, making sure that they work to the standard that the company has, elevated. So we've elevated our name, and who we bring in has to be able to perform at the level that I promise that they can.
I love that. I love that. I want to see if anybody have any questions.
We have a few comments, so thank you everybody that's left their comments in that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my unapologetic playlist says hating it when it is unintenable and overwhelming, and loving it again when the work is manageable and shared. Great analogy for marriages with a ton of invisible labor. Just saying.
Boy, you are
Exactly.
so right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Brandon said calibrations and recommendations can be that assistance on platforms like this. We can rely on from other creators to grow, and he's right about
Yes.
that.
Mhm.
That's very important. But I have to be aligned with the person. Okay, I just don't want just any recommendation. Okay, when I first came to Substack, I just take anything that came my way, and I learned quickly. No, you're not going to be aligned with everybody. So you have to be mindful of that as well.
Oh, I
Okay.
definitely think so. Somebody's got to be in your same mindset. But remember, we can get more done together than apart. And so I'm able to apply for contracts larger than I could ever accomplish on my own. And that's the other thing, is that if our creatives out there are trying to go after jobs that they know they cannot accomplish by themselves, that's when these collaborations are so important, so that you can go after that contract and make a profit off of somebody else's work. That's my favorite kind of work, where I make money for not doing the work myself. That is a fabulous thing to do. They make money, I make money, and we go after jobs they couldn't get by themselves, because they don't really go after the same jobs that I go after, and I get jobs that I can't handle by myself. So those collaborations are very important.
I would love to have more collaborations like that, but the thing of it is, you have to know who you can trust.
Mhm.
Okay, because like you said, you can do 100 great things in the world, but you can do one bad thing and it'll follow you for the rest of your life.
Yes, your reputation is easily destroyed and difficult to build. And I just think that you have to keep that in mind always, because, and I think it's probably why I've been so successful, is because my parents were in this community, I'm in this community, and now I've grown my business. Even though we work on a national level, the majority of my work has originated here, even if I do travel and work nationally. And they've decided in this community that they can trust me, that they know, like, and trust me. They know I'm going to be real and authentic. And if I can't do something, I'm not going to pretend that I can. I'm going to what do they say? Under promise and over deliver is always my motto. I'm going to tell them a deadline that is easily attainable, and then try to get them their work prior to the deadline that I gave them, because you don't want somebody to expect something and then not be able to deliver it. So
Absolutely, credibility is everything, and we know that.
mhm.
Let's see. Brandon said it's difficult to remain consistent with so many variables popping up as often as they do now.
Mhm.
He's right. It's like it can't keep up.
You can't keep up, and especially in a creative field, everybody everybody thinks that they're creative, and everybody has an opinion about what they want. So where you might hire a photographer because you like their style, then you do the photography and they're like, yeah, but I want you to edit it like this. I want you to change your look and your style to meet my expectations. And that's why being a commercial artist is so difficult, is because you're kind of being paid to meet their expectations. And so there's a real, there's a real journey there to figure out how to meet their expectations without giving away your own creative input. It's a challenge.
Yes, and so we are we are forced into this competitive situation where we're competing against everybody. I'm not competing against nobody. I'm telling you, I'm not. That's where I am today. Oh, they got 20 likes on their article. What's wrong with mine? I only got three. That's a problem. Okay, we need to get out of that mindset. Okay, you got three. Somebody liked it. Somebody got value out of it. Move on. I have to tell myself that too. Okay, because I have an A personality. Okay, and I'm very okay. So okay. So I have to remind myself of that. It's just okay. It's fine. Nothing's going to be 100%. We have to accept that. Okay, it's 85. Okay, I'll take it. Move on. What lesson did you learn from it? I'm repurposing my stuff. Okay, you can always modify it along the way. So we
Well,
need to
and
get out. Go ahead.
everybody is a unique personality. Everybody has different things that resonate with them. And I am not everybody's cup of tea. And you have to remember, as a host, you need to remember, if people are coming back, they're coming back for you. And what if one time you have a guest, let's just say it's me, and nobody likes me? That's not that's not your fault, because you're the consistent factor. So, all of you entrepreneurs out there that are dealing with these similar things, you're the consistent factor, Margaret. Your guest is what changes. And that may or may not resonate with people. And so as you're viewing your success, you're in a little bit different situation because people come for you. And then it's up to them whether the guest is really somebody that they feel like is a good talking point for them.
And I recognize that too. They're not gonna like everybody's not gonna like me, and everybody's not gonna like my everything that I put out there. Oh well, such is life. We can't please everybody, no matter how hard you try. Okay,
Yeah.
it is what it is, and accept it for what it is, and move on. Okay,
Yes.
I have to talk myself this all the time. Okay. So when we accept reality, then we prevent our suffering. Okay,
Yes. And
face reality.
yeah, in business, I think that one of the things, because I'm a contract based person and because my work is so personal to me. So, I'm out there creating this, just like you guys are creating your content, I'm creating my images, that when I don't get the job, I get really butthurt over it because it's personal to me. It's personal. And it has taken me years to get to the fact that I have to be okay that people will not choose me for one reason or another, whether it's the price, whether it's my personality, whether it's the way that I approach a job. Business is business, and it's just that. It's not that deep.
Right. And it's just a personal preference. Okay. And people, we all are entitled to that. Okay. And be okay with it. Because as people leave, they're not in alignment with you for whatever, that gives more room for the people that do vibe with you.
Yep.
And do.
Savio
Go
has a
ahead.
question for us. Margaret, why don't you read Savio's question for us?
Okay. What does Savio say? What is one of your biggest wins, and how did that shape your workflow and decision making?
Oh, Savio, I have such a story for you. So, everybody who is a creative, the first thing that they want to get rid of when they start outsourcing things is they want to outsource their bookkeeping and accounting. And I love bookkeeping and accounting. And so I'm like, no, I don't want to outsource that because I love it. And so they said, what do you hate? And I hate to sell. I don't like to go out and network. I don't like to, I do it because I have to, but I'm an introvert by nature. I like my alone time. I like to be behind the camera. And so I made the decision 18 months ago to hire a salesperson, knowing full well, because I know my business, it takes 18 to 24 months before anybody in sales has any real success in photography because it's a slow cycle. And so I told her, I said, listen, you're not going to get a sale for 18 to 24 months. You're not going to get one. And sure enough, Savio, her 18 months was about 2 months ago. She got one of the biggest architecture firms I've been after. And I have been after this firm for 10 years. They wouldn't even let me in the door. My salesperson got her, and we got a portfolio quality project. And now she understands. Now my salesperson understands what I was talking about, that it takes time. And so it has really boosted my confidence that I made the right decision in getting somebody to help me with sales, because she's an extrovert and she loves to be out with people, and people like her. I'm not even sure half the people like me. And so to get somebody out there that is likable, and it supported my decision-making process. And as far as the workflow, Savio, it didn't really change any of my workflow. It just meant that I felt even more comfortable getting some of this off my plate and handing it off to her to go ahead and sell for the organization. So it was a great win for me and for my organization, because everybody said I was crazy, that nobody could sell the business but me. And she's doing a great job.
I love proving people wrong. Okay, and Yes, and that's one of my biggest wins is that coming to Substack, you know, I always knew that I could sing, I could, write, poetry and all that stuff, and I wanted to get an opportunity to do these things and to help other people. Okay? And that's been the biggest win of everything that I've done. And so how has this shaped me and my workflow? My workflow it's evolving. I'll say that, okay? And so decision making, my decisions is based on, my values, what I my values, and because otherwise, without a sale, okay, the ship is just gonna go everywhere, every which way, and I can't have that, okay, because I get seasick. So that's where we at today, and finding out really what you're passionate about, okay, and who you want to serve. All of these things come into play. You don't necessarily know this stuff when you're first starting out, right? Because
No.
I was coming from the government system, okay, doing government contracting. I had no idea about running a publication or what it even meant or what that entails. But you sit down, you figure it out, you roll up your sleeves, you know, and do the work. It might be different for everybody. That's okay. Whatever resonates with you, that's what you should do. And I love Savio, okay? Savio, I just want to mention that he is also on Podmatch, okay? And Leslie and I met on Podmatch as well. And she is also on LinkedIn. So as many people as I can bring into Substack, okay, and many people I can bring from LinkedIn, it's a win-win for everybody because Leslie, she has her own address, and if she decides to do a publication, so be it. But I'm going to make sure to give you her information, her website, and her LinkedIn, and so you guys can connect with Leslie because she's a wonderful person, and I am so glad that we connected.
Me too. It's been a great experience for me. And anybody that wants to see my work, you can go to studio13online.com. That'll give you all of our photographers' portfolios are all there. We also have some educational articles about how to prepare for doing photography. You can also see my other podcasts that I've done. I've done about 50 of them, and they're all on my website. So I am so glad we met, Margaret. So glad we had this opportunity to speak to your followers, and hope they got something from us today.
Can you tell us how AI is changing your work?
Oh my goodness, yes. So AI has most people don't know that AI has been a part of Photoshop for decades. I mean, it has been integrated into the software for the last 15 years. It's just getting better. So from a logistical standpoint, editing is getting faster, it's getting easier, and all kinds of things that I would have had to hire a professional to do 10 years ago, I can now do myself with the flip of a wrist. So AI has been an amazingly effective tool for my business, to watch it grow, for us to be able to meet deadlines faster, because the speed of business is such a big deal in what we do. Now, I will say it is not always ready for prime time. So some of the things that I'm hearing in the industry, retail businesses are not allowing companies to have artificially created images on their packages. So if you look into what Japanese companies are doing, you'll know that on the packaging, you actually have to put the exact size and likeness of a product on the box. So if your product's only 2 inches, then it can't be bigger than 2 inches on the box. It has to be an exact replica. And so many people are thinking that mentality of advertising is actually going to start transferring over to America, because we have the Truth in Advertising Act. We are supposed to, as consumers, receive advertising that is an accurate depiction of the product we're using. And so AI is kind of in that fashion being shunned a little bit from retail packaging. But when it comes to editing, like what I'm doing, we did a big job a couple of weeks ago, and it was a sunrise photograph. Sunrise in Indiana right now is at 5:15 in the morning. who really wants to be there at 5:15 in the morning? And so we couldn't get any people to come and populate our photograph. So we made the photograph beautiful the way it was, and now we're populating it with AI. And so that is acceptable because the product itself is completely accurate, and that's what we're selling. But we use AI to add people to make it look more interesting. So that kind of tells you what we're using it for right now. I don't see it yet taking over my business, especially because many of my clients are in the financial sector. They're in investing and banking. Some of them are in architecture and engineering. Those people all need to be known, liked, and trusted. So that authentic factor is becoming an increasingly important part of advertising. And you want your customers to believe in you. You want them to trust you. And having real photography at this point is trending. And if you check a lot of the advertisements when you're watching either streaming shows or regular shows, you'll see a pushback against AI in a lot of those ads. This younger generation in their 20s and early 30s, they're not big fans. They see the use in it. Certainly, I use it for certain things. I use it for my editing. I use it when I need ideas for blogging and stuff like that, but I don't use it to write the blogs. And so I feel like that right now we are just in probably the middle crescendo of what AI is really going to be. As of right now, I don't see it replacing what I do in corporate and commercial photography. I think it's just going to continue to supplement already well done creative imagery.
Yes, and you talked about authenticity, and that's why most of us, I keep saying, we need to get from behind the computer and show people who we are. Because if you're trying to sell products, I'm not going to buy a product from somebody that I can't see, that I can't talk to, okay, that I can't relate to. I won't buy your products.
Well, and
That's where
tell
I
me,
am.
if you go into a bank and you want to have either a bank or an investment firm or some kind of financial discussion, you want to know, like, and trust that person. You're not going to give them, here's all of my retirement. Would you have your computer invest my money, please? No, you want a person to invest your money. And those are the kind of clients that I am after, the lawyers and the accountants and the doctors and the people that still need to be people. The people you want to talk to. And so for my business particularly, I feel pretty solid about where things are right now, but continuing to watch the trends of AI, to watch what's happening in our government. What are they going to do with all of this? What's going to happen with AI in the government? Are they going to regulate us? They don't seem to really care about the consumer right now. So what's that going to mean? So I'm just going to have to continue to keep my eyes on what's going on and look towards other countries and how they're handling it. Because I feel like that there are other people, other countries that are trending much stronger than where America's trending right now.
Yeah, we need to be listening and paying attention to the signs because I despise politics, but we have to know what's going on so we can manage our business and our lives accordingly.
Yes.
Okay, looking at the trends, looking at what countries, because I would love to move overseas. So I'm trying to figure out which one is going to be most advantageous for me to be by the water. And this where I can stretch my uh social security, my pension, and living in places that's going to be more conducive to my health. Because as we get older, we're supposed to start having more health problems. Well, that's the reason why I want to change my environment. Okay, I want to eliminate. That's why I eliminate all the toxicity. Okay, so doing all these things will improve the quality of our lives. Okay, this is how we live longer lives. Okay, so we have to take everything in consideration.
You do, Margaret. And I encourage everyone that if you're not following what's going on with these data farms, because that is really where AI is causing the most environmental problems that this world is having, not just this country. But if you'll follow what's happening with the data farms, and this is not a political discussion at all, but in the Netherlands, they're talking about putting their data farms underground so that it will melt the snow in the winter. So like they're looking for ways to integrate these data centers as a way to help them as a country rather than destroy, which right now we're really struggling in this country. You can see where the data farms are. We're getting large droughts in those areas where there's Asian countries that are talking about burying the data farms in the ocean. Well, guess what's going to happen then? Then the fish are going to die. So it's like, as you're looking at other countries, AI is more than just creating images or using Chat GPT to build a blog. It's about more than that, because there has to be the data centers to drive it. And so we need to, as a country, be very engaged in what is happening in AI, more than just how it impacts us, but how it impacts our world, our earth that we live in. And again, this is not political. I'm not somebody that's going to be out there on a Greenpeace boat or anything like that. I am in an industry where AI is prevalent, and I am worried what it means for us and our health if we start having major droughts because of all the energy that these data centers pull from our earth.
That's going to impact the food supply, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why we can't turn a blind eye to what's going on in DC. I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, unfortunately, we can't control a lot of what's happening in the government. What we can control is our education and knowledge of what's going on in the world. And that's more than just the United States. We are a global economy. We are a people that rely on people, and other countries are doing some really great things, and other countries are doing some really stupid things. And so I just encourage you to stay as much as you can mentally tolerate, because I can tell you there are some days I don't want to know what's going on. There's too much. But I do encourage you to pay attention to what other countries are doing, so that you're at least educated and can carry on an intelligent conversation when people bring it up. Because I think that's another thing, is that the smart people aren't talking.
That is a problem. Okay. And so we're having to figure everything out on our own. So that's why these conversations are so important.
Yeah, the people that are not all that intelligent seem to have the most to say right now. And the people that are highly intelligent don't seem to say as much as they should. So look for people smarter than you. My dad always taught me that. Always go out and find somebody smarter than you to have a conversation with, and you'll never be sorry you did.
Me too. And that's the people I like to collaborate with. People like you, so I can learn from. Okay. So anybody else have any questions or comments? Oh, Jason said runway pipeline.
He also says you can sing really well.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm trying to figure out how I can monetize everything that I know. Okay. Okay. That's how we supplement our income. Okay.
There you go.
There it is. This has been an excellent conversation. Do you have any final thoughts, suggestions, or recommendations for everyone?
First of all, just thank you again for having me, Margaret, and thank you for everybody that's tuned in and listened to us live. This has been an amazing conversation. I will encourage all of you to try to keep your mind as open as you can, especially in your business. Make sure that you are looking at things wide open with no blinders on. Don't keep your head down so far that you can't see what's in front of you. And just know that the more grace that you extend, the more grace that you receive.
Absolutely. And thank you so much. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you, Margaret. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you all. All right. Bye-bye.